What is going on, all you Pokemon collectomaniacs out there? This is Ryan, the PikaPikaPaPa, and I really am so excited today because by the time you watch this, me and my family will be all set up in Orlando, Florida, preparing for our assault on MegaCon. Now listen, it is no secret, I absolutely love the Pokemon hobby, but you know, one of the things that I like most about it, and that really makes me just absolutely fall in love with the hobby in general, is getting the chance to interact with and immerse myself around other people who are just as enthusiastic as I am. And obviously the YouTube channel is one source for that, but you just cannot replace, and you can't, there's nothing that equals the excitement and the energy and the feeling of going to card shows and going to conventions. And I am very fortunate. My wife and kids are just as jazzed up about going to these things as I am. So we have a ton of fun when we get to go. Now, again, as I've said in the past, I have been collecting cards for over 20 years at this point, and I have been to a ton of card shows, a ton of conventions over that span of time. And I thought since it's the beginning of 2024, this is our very first, con or convention of the year, I thought it'd be really cool for me to share with you some of my tips and tricks and learnings over the years, because when you go to these big shows, it can be a lot. It can be intimidating. There's just walls and walls and rows and aisles of all kinds of awesomeness, and it's very easy to get kind of lost in the shuffle and lost in the excitement, and sometimes you walk away, and even though you had an absolute amazing time, you might not have reached your collecting or investing, or you might not have walked away with everything that you could have. So I thought it'd be really cool to share some of that with you all right now. So no graphs, no charts, no data, no nothing, just me talking to you about some of the things I've learned through all of these card shows and conventions that I've been to. I tried to count exactly how many I've been to, and I just couldn't. There's been too many over the last 20 years. So one of the very first things I always like to talk about and focus on when I go into these shows is I always have a hit list every single time. Matter of fact, I am so old school. I even write it down on a piece of paper and I fold it up and I put it in my pocket. That way, if I'm ever trying to veer off course, I pull it out and I look at it and I'm like, okay, this wasn't on my hit list. And the reason I have to do that is because anything you could possibly imagine in the Pokemon space is going to be available there. And if I don't come in with a plan, and this is just for me particularly, like if I don't come in with a plan, if I don't come in with a hit list, I usually end up getting nothing accomplished because, I'm out there chasing a whole bunch of different shiny objects. And, these are exactly the things that I am going after at the MegaCon this weekend. So I've shared with you guys, in a recent video on Sword and Shield products that I think are undervalued. I really like that Mew VMAX and that Mew V from Fusion Strike. I think alt arts are going to do really, really well. I think Fusion Strike's going to do really, really well. I think these are both priced right compared to where other cards are in the market right now. So these are two cards that I'm looking for. You know that I love the whole Plasma series, and this Umbreon right here, the reverse holo and the holo for that, I am absolutely in love with. If you watched any of my videos for the last, year and a half here, this card has been on there a lot. I still haven't found the one that I'm looking for, so it is always on the hit list. And then that Starmie V with Misty, that Trainer Gallery card, I think that is another card that has all kinds of upside to it. I am actively searching for that. Now, the sealed products down below, I shared with all of you in recent videos. I am after one more Evolving Skies booster box. I think that thing is going to absolutely pop off here relatively soon. So even if I have to get it in the mid to low $400 range, I still think it's got enough upside. That'll make it a good investment. And I also think that having cash on hand and being able to negotiate, at the trade show gives me the best opportunity to buy that without trying to go through eBay or Facebook Marketplace or anything like that. I also want that XY Evolutions Blastoise Elite Trainer box, right? I have the Charizard one over my left shoulder. I got that at the Charlotte Collecticon about a year ago, and so I want to go ahead and get its partner, right? I've got the orange one, I want to get the blue one to have the whole set, and then something I have been hunting for a long time is that Pikachu EX box from the Generation set. I absolutely love that promo card. I want it sealed. I've had a couple opportunities to look at it. The price just didn't match up to what I was looking for, so I've walked away every single time, but that is something that has been on my long-term buy list. I will absolutely get it, but I'm in no hurry, right? Again, part of this show is being able to talk to people and make sure that you walk away feeling good and you want them to feel good on the other side. So always have a hit list, and these are the exact things that I'm going after, and I hope that I walk away with some of them. I have there's a lot of money on this page, right? I'm not going to walk away with all of them, but if I walk away with one or two things from this list, it is going to be very, very successful. So the next thing I want to say, which ties exactly into the last slide, is know your prices. This is incredibly important. Again, on that same piece of paper where I go ahead and I write down all of the things that I want, I put a range. I put a high end and a low end of what I'm willing to pay for those products, because again, Sometimes, especially when it gets to be late in the conference, I get a little nervous. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to walk away with nothing. That is okay. It's okay to walk away with nothing. I've gone to plenty of card shows and conventions in the past, and I've come in all starry-eyed hoping that I'm going to buy XYZ, and I walk out with nothing. That is okay. You know, these conventions are, you know, you might not get what you're looking for. The other thing that's really important is you have the opportunity to negotiate with people. Now, remember, you set the tone and you determine the price. Nobody's going to reach into your pocket and pull out your credit card or pull out your wad of cash and force you to hand it over. You determine the price. But I do want to say this, always be respectful and courteous, okay? Now, I've seen people in these conventions, sometimes somebody has a card for $100 and they'll walk up and they'll be like, I'll give you 20. To me, that's just disrespectful. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't negotiate for a good deal. I'm totally in favor for that, but listen, I have a hard time negotiating with a small local card shop owner. Now, of course, I might say, hey, I'll take a couple bucks off, but I'm not going to negotiate the way I do, you know, in my real job when I'm negotiating with Fortune 500 companies who have billions of dollars in revenue, right? I'll squeeze the heck out of them. But when I'm talking to somebody who has a card shop like, or not like me, but who has a card shop and who's an enthusiast, of course I want to make sure that I get a good deal, but I also want to make sure that they get a good deal. So very important to me that when you're going through this process, I always recommend be respectful and be courteous, because guess what? The circuit, as big as it is also relatively small. You're going to find a lot of these tables at a lot of the same conventions. A lot of the stuff here in Orlando will also be at Charlotte, right? And so you can start to build relationships. And then when they have opportunities, they might be a little more lenient with you. Or you can build a relationship and you can say, hey, listen, I'm looking for XYZ. If you get it in your inventory, reach out to me in the future. And they will do that. So it is always, always, always incredibly important, not just at card shows, but also in life in general. Be respectful and be courteous. And as I said, also don't be afraid to walk away. It's okay to look somebody in the eye and be like, you know what? We're just not on the same page. Shake their hand, say, hey, I totally get it. I'll come talk to you tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow, you know, you will find that the pace of the show is a little different than you'd hope for. Maybe you'll be willing to negotiate, but always end it on good terms. Now, the next thing that I talk about, and remember how I said day 2, I am a big believer in this. In a couple videos ago, we went through Warren Buffett's 10 rules to riches, right? And we talked about how I apply those to the Pokemon space. And I said that number 3, never suck your thumb. I am very, very poor at, like I suck at that because sometimes I get analysis paralysis. Well, don't wait for day number 2. If it's on your hit list and it's within those prices that you've written down on that sheet of paper, freaking buy it. Don't wait. I have so many stories in the past of where I didn't take my own advice here. I remember there was an Ultra Prism booster box that was on my list last year when I started going to some conventions. And I said, hey, I want to pay around $340, $350 for it. I had somebody talk down to $340 for that booster box. And I was like, oh, I don't know. I'll come back in a few. I was going to come back a couple hours later. I actually did, and they'd already sold it, right? So it was on my hit list. It was within my price range. And for whatever reason, I decided to walk away. But as I said before, don't be afraid to walk away, because that's not the only instance. There's going to be plenty of other opportunities. So take it as a lesson learned. But if it checks your boxes, if it's on your list, and if it's within your price range, go ahead and pull the trigger. Don't wait for day 2. Like, then you don't have to run into day 2 with kind of this looming thought of, oh my God, I really want to buy something, because if you knock it off your list on day 1, then you're sitting pretty, right? You've already got it in your Poke collection. So again, listen, don't suck your thumb. Don't do what PikaPikaPaPa does from time to time. Take a lesson from me. If it checks your boxes, go ahead and pull it. The other thing that I have failed at in the past, and I will not fail on anymore, is bringing trade bait. And that sounds like a really, really silly thing, right? But I'm telling you, I have been to different conventions where all of a sudden a product that I have sitting at home has been hot, and I see that it's selling a lot, and a lot of the tables are interested in it. You know, I collect NFL Hall of Fame rookie cards, which is way outside of the Pokemon space, and one of the first big Pokemon conventions I went to, I thought, why would I bring my football cards? Because that doesn't make any sense. And I found a table where the guy was having a ton of offers on NFL Hall of Fame rookie cards, and they also had a ton of Pokemon cards that I wanted. If I had brought some of my collection with me, I could have traded out some football cards and got some Pokemon cards, but I didn't have it, right? And so I always bring a little bit of sealed product, some stuff that's doing really well, some stuff I have extra of. I always bring some of my slabs with me. I've got one of those sealed cases that I can bring it with me, and I just keep it with me, right? Because why not? It is better to have and not need than need and not have. And everybody knows that, listen, cash is king, but you can do some awesome trades and get some really, really cool products, and everybody walks away feeling great without draining a penny from your bank account. Now, the last one I always say is control your emotions, and this kind of comes back to the one that I said earlier. when I said, listen, don't be afraid to walk away. Also make sure that you're respectful and courteous. Listen, trust your plan and stick to it. There will be conventions and card shows that you go to and you walk away with nothing, and that is absolutely fine, because just being there is a ton of fun. Just being immersed in the hobby and other people who are as feverish about it as you and I are, that is enough. And then listen, one thing I will say, and this is a pretty cool little tips and tricks, but don't forget about the back left, right? And by that I mean when you walk into the arena for the first time, however it's laid out, most people are right-handed. Most people stick to the front and they go to the right. That's the very, very first area. But if you look in the far back on the left-hand side, for whatever reasons, a lot of times those are the tables that just don't get all the TLC, that don't get all the love from the tables in the very front and to the right. So I've always had some good luck when I go to the back and to the left. They tend to get less foot traffic and you can find some really, really good deals there. But listen, it is really important. Control your emotions. Understand you're going there for fun. You're paying the ticket for the experience. And if you walk away with some awesome buys, that is just upside. That is just icing on the cake. And last and most importantly, oh my gosh, have fun. The conventions, the card shows will be what you make of it. Remember why you're there. You're there because you love the hobby. You're there because you want to be surrounded by other people who love the hobby. Me and my family, we have an absolute blast. We make a whole weekend of it. We always get hotel rooms. We go out to dinner. You know, we take all kinds of silly pictures. And most importantly, for me at least, is if you're there and you see me and my family and you've been watching the channel, don't hesitate to come up and say, hey, I love interacting with everybody in the comments. I'm still committed to responding all of them personally each and every time, but I get even more excited when I get to meet y'all in person and shake your hands and, you know, put a name with or put a face with a screen name. So listen, have a ton of fun at these. I know I do. If you see me, come and say, hey, I would really appreciate it. And listen, this is early in the con season. We have Collect-A-Con coming up. We've got Mega Cons coming up. We have card shows all up and down the East Coast. Me and my family are committed to going to a ton of them, and I hope to meet all of you out there, and I hope that you have all kinds of fun when you go to yours and your Pokemon collecting and investing dreams come true. So you all have an epic one. I hope to see you soon, and I will talk to you later. Bye, everybody.